What's going on, car family? I'm Ben Wayne. Thank you for joining me in another video. Today, we are here at Mercedes-Benz of Atlanta Northeast. We're going to check out the all-new 2022 Mercedes-Benz C300. Now, before we get into the video, if you find yourself interested in this vehicle, be sure to hit up my friend Benzblogger. I'll leave her Instagram and TikTok links in the description below, and also her contact information at this dealership. So let's go ahead and hop into it and talk about what the C300 is about. First of all, the C-Class. This is a very important vehicle because this is essentially the vehicle that pays the bills at Mercedes-Benz. It's the number one seller. It's the easiest car to sell. As a matter of fact, the last generation sold over 2.5 million units. So that just goes to show you what a high volume car this is and how important this vehicle is to the brand. So for 2022, everything is all new, completely redesigned. So before we take this out on the road, I want to talk to you first about the talk of the town here in this interior. That is this high resolution 11.9-inch touchscreen display. So as you can see, I have the wireless Apple CarPlay going for you guys, so you can see exactly what that looks like. Full screen, nice, vibrant, easy to read. I really like how crisp and sharp it is. So of course it has wireless Android Auto as well if you're an Android person, but you can go to all of your apps and just use it just as easily. So I have Waze up right now, and as you can see, I can easily just set an address and head to that destination, and I have a huge screen to look at as I navigate. Now, if I press the home button, it will take me to the vehicle's infotainment settings, or just the general screen. So I have my phone connected here. You have the radio, media, scroll over, different apps. You can go into the comfort app where you have your seat kinetics. So different settings for your seats there. It's not a massage feature. What it does is essentially move the seat just to keep your body from feeling fatigued during long drives. Coming over, you can see you have your ambient lighting, tons of colors to choose from. As you can see, this screen is nice and responsive. You can also go with the multicolor option. That's pretty neat as well. So the ambient lighting in here it's pretty nice. You even have it in your air conditioning vents and on the footwells as well. So that's a special option on this particular C300. Now let's go back through the menu. You have info, vehicle information, your consumption, general vehicle settings, tells you how much accelerator and brake you have on. Right now I have my foot on the brake. Take my foot off, it'll go down to 0. And then different displays for torque and power being used in the vehicle as well. Scrolling over, additional settings here found in the vehicle, your assistance, your collision avoidance, camera, parking, different settings here. It just goes on, and it is fairly easy to use. Coming lower in the screen, if I press this camera button here, I love how clean and crisp the camera system is in this vehicle. So you have your surround view camera system, and you can just scroll over and get a complete 360-degree view of this vehicle. I think that is sharp. That is really impressive how easy that is to use. And you can select different views as well. Your front-facing camera, rear-facing, your sides. So you can pretty much see all around the car, and I think that is an incredible feature. That is extremely nice. You also have a button for your hazards, a button to read your fingerprints, so you can program the vehicle to the settings that you see fit per driver and just touch right there, and it gives you access to all of that. And of course your volume control is here. Now it's all touchscreen, so that's something that's going to require a slight learning curve, but it is pretty nice to have, especially on a high resolution screen such as this one. So again, I have all my apps right here. That is just pretty neat. So let's go ahead and get this one out on the road and see what the 22 C300 is about. You know, this is a vehicle I've been looking forward to testing because, like I said, it is a very important vehicle to the brand. Now, overall styling, those of you who are familiar with the brand, you know what this car is about. You've seen the S-Class before. You also are familiar with that vehicle. So it shares the same design language. Essentially, the C-Class looks like a baby S-Class. The design essentially has been grafted onto a smaller vehicle, and it's something that works. And we know it works because this is a vehicle that sold 2.5 million units in its last generation, which looked like the S-Class back then. So starting up front, of course, you have the LED headlamps. Now there is an option for the digital headlamps that are able to project an image out onto the actual street. I think that's amazing technology. So maybe hazard warnings or directions, that is pretty neat to have. Now this isn't an AMG line, this is the traditional line. So you're not getting the star-studded grille. You're getting a traditional grille with black vertical slots, almost like an AMG, but they're blacked out. They're not highlighted in chrome. Now the proportions, again, typical proportions of what you would expect of the C-Class, but with that S-Class design language throughout the front. It's very evident that this is part of the Mercedes-Benz lineup. Now underneath the hood gets a little interesting. This is a mild hybrid setup. It's a 2-liter, 4-cylinder turbocharged power plant, giving you 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. Now, it does have the 48-volt mild hybrid setup that is able to give you an additional 20 horsepower and 148 pound-feet of torque. But it differs from the hybrid setup that's found in the S-Class. So instead of the starter generator actually being sandwiched in between the engine and the transmission, your electrical architecture is actually inside the transmission case of this particular vehicle. So I think that's pretty neat how they're starting to use the hybrid technology in this vehicle, and that's going to help you with performance. So with that power plant, you're getting a 0 to 60 time of 5.9 seconds, and that's connected to a 9-speed automatic transmission. So your fuel economy is going to be 25 miles per gallon for the city and 35 highway, which isn't bad considering what this car is, especially with fuel prices today. I think people are looking at fuel economy now more than ever, regardless of what they're driving. To some extent, it's always a factor. Now, coming over to the side profile, you'll notice again, it has that same silhouette of the all-new S-Class. But how is this different from the previous generation C-Class? So with each generation, people are wanting more space. So with that being said, the wheelbase on this generation of C-Class has been extended by 1 inch when compared to the previous generation. Why? Well, that's going to give you a smoother ride because it effectively lowers your center of gravity, but it also gives you additional legroom in the back seat, and you can truly feel that when sitting back there. Compared to the previous generation C-Class, it's definitely a lot more spacious. 1 inch might not sound like much, but it makes all the difference. Now, the overall length of the vehicle is 2.5 inches longer than the previous generation. So again, giving you more room, but it also gives the designers more space to play with the lines of the car. So it doesn't look rushed, it looks nice and proportional, and I really like that about this new generation here. Now, the wheels, you're looking at 225 width up front and 255 in the rear. I love the multi-spoke design that goes well against the Cirrus Silver. That's the name of the exterior paintwork, Cirrus Silver. And it also meshes well with the interior. This is Macchiato Beige. We'll get back to that. Coming towards the rear of the vehicle, again, you're still getting those S-Class vibes with the overall design language. Your trunk space, you're looking at about 12.6 cubic feet. And of course, you have LED tail lamps in the back as expected. Now, the roofline tapers nicely into the trunk lid. Since you have a little bit more space, it doesn't look as rushed as the previous generation. Looks a little bit more proportional, and that just aids in the overall good looks of this vehicle. Now, when it comes to driving dynamics, you're looking at a multi-link suspension in this vehicle. And again, that 9-speed automatic transmission just goes really well with that 2-liter turbocharged 48-volt mild hybrid setup. So let's go ahead and get into the power and see how this vehicle reacts. So the vehicle is able to pick up extremely well. Doesn't feel underpowered whatsoever. I really like that about this. I'm going to switch the vehicle into a different mode. We'll go into sport. We'll go back into sport here and then see how it handles. So obviously this is not an AMG vehicle, but it does have enough get up and go for you to feel comfortable in daily driving situations. The handling feels nice. Don't feel a lot of body roll whatsoever. The throttle feels nice and responsive, and that EQ boost system, really helps get this car rolling, and I like that about it. One of the worst things about driving some vehicles out here is having a vehicle where everything's been done right. The design's executed right, the use of materials is nice, but then it feels underpowered. And that's definitely not the case in the new C-Class here. I always get stuck behind a minivan when I'm testing these vehicles. So let me give it a little bit of space here. All right. So it picks up really nicely. That is more than adequate for driving on the highway when you're trying to merge or fighting through traffic. So you have more than enough power here. So 255 horsepower definitely gets the job done. And of course, you guys know there's an AMG model coming out. If that's not enough for you, we'll be sure to take a look at that when it comes out. So let's talk a little bit about the interior because it's been completely redone. I'm loving the design language here. Nice and curvaceous, no hard lines. Everything looks like it's been well thought. I love the air conditioning vents here that also have the ambient lighting inside them as well. Again, you have that nice 11.9 inch touchscreen display here with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. No fiddling with your smartphone and plugging it in. It connects wirelessly, as to be expected. Now, the touchscreen does require a little bit of learning, but overall it is easy to use, and it's something that you get used to the more you use it. Of course, this infotainment system has the latest iteration of MBUX. It allows you to give different commands to the vehicle and make different adjustments, like telling it to turn on the heated or ventilated seats. So that's nice as well. Allows you to make different changes to the vehicle without having to take your eyes off the road and look for a button. So I think that's pretty neat. Coming lower, I do have wireless charging hidden underneath here, 2 cup holders, and of course, additional storage in the center console as well. The seats, they are what you would expect of a Mercedes-Benz C-Class. This is going to be a vehicle that is extremely comfortable, a vehicle that's nice to be in for a long time. If you have a long commute, you do have 3 levels of ventilation and heating as well. There we go. Yeah, it picks up nicely. It really does pick up nicely. So the seats are fully adjustable. I will say that they do have buttons on the doors here that don't actually physically move. What you do is you apply pressure to them and it moves the corresponding section of the seat. That is pretty neat. We saw that first in the S-Class. So a lot of that S-Class technology is starting to be found in the C-Class here. Now, coming back over to the door panel, since I just mentioned the seat controls, you do have piano black accents, silver cold to the touch door handles. Again, your controls for the seats, 3 position seating memory, 3 levels of heating and cooling, and then again the piano black accents with the Burmester speaker system that pops out against that macchiato beige. Now you also have controls for all 4 windows and side view mirrors on a panel that looks like it's floating away from the door because the support is hidden in the design language. I think that's really nice. That looks really neat. And of course, you have storage on the bottom of the door as well. But overall, you can see the thought process that went into the execution of the design in this vehicle. Now, one of my favorite features about this particular C-Class is the open pore wood trim. Look how nice it looks against that macchiato beige. It just pops out that much more. I really love that. You know, some cars have that high polished finish on the wood trim. I'm more of an open pore person because it just screams more natural elements to me. It looks just a little bit more natural than some of the other options out there. Overall, the handling of this car, it's nice and smooth. Even as I go over these bumps in this road that I'm driving on now, it's nice and quiet in here as well. When it comes to legroom, since they extended the wheelbase a bit, you're looking at 41 inches up front, but 36 inches of legroom in the rear. So that's going to give you some more space if you have any rear occupants in this vehicle. Steering wheel feels nice in my hands. It's nice and thick, done in smooth black leather, features silver accents, and of course you have controls on your steering wheel for your instrument cluster. Your instrument cluster, which is done on a 12.3 inch thin film transistor display, looks really nice and vibrant, and of course it is configurable as well. But just the overall execution, they've done an excellent job. Like I said, this is their most important vehicle in the entire lineup, and it is clear to me that Mercedes-Benz knew that just by the effort that's been placed into this vehicle. Now, one thing I must say, if you want to go with a darker interior, that doesn't look bad at all, because you have this huge panoramic roof with shades. So it has power shades when you don't want the sun in, or if you want to keep the cabin cool. But on a day like today where you want some sunlight, you open up the panoramic roof and it still gives you this open air sensation inside the vehicle's cabin. I think that's extremely important. One of the reasons that I choose a light interior when I film is so you guys can see the detail. But this vehicle also looks nice in the darker interior leathers, especially when you have this panoramic roof to let all that natural light in. So I just want you guys to be able to see the details in the seats and the overall interior design language. It just looks extremely well put together. I think Mercedes-Benz has done an excellent job on this vehicle. So as shown, this particular vehicle I believe is going for around $49,000. Again, if you're interested in this vehicle or any other Mercedes-Benz, please reach out to my friend Benzblogger, aka Jessie Cannon-Wallace. I'll leave her contact information in the description box below. Let me know what you guys think about this one in the comment section. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And until next time, I'm Ben Wayne, the automotive reviewer that YouTube deserves.